Hello, and a good morning, good afternoon, and a very good evening to you all, the good and wonderful people of the tube. Hope you're feeling grand and all is well in your world. Hello, everybody. Today's vid, people tube, I want to talk about how I discovered Mr. John Frusciante. I've spoken about this briefly in the past in like A&Q Wednesday and some other bits here and there, some other videos. But I thought I'd do kind of like one concise kind of like video on how I discovered him and what was going, on at the time, so to say. So, come with me, people of the tube, back to the hazy, lazy days of 2002, when 16-year-old Dave had just got his first guitar for his 16th birthday. And immediately was just in love with the instrument and proceeded to kind of like just be obsessed with the guitar forever. And it really was a bad time for me. Like, I was in a very, 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 very dark place in my life. I'd just come out of school and school life was hell. And I just wasn't good. Like, when I was 15 years old, my main objective in life was not to be alive. And then guitar found me. And that's another story altogether, which I've spoke about a lot as well. But then guitar found me. And then for a year, like 2001, I was kind of plinking around on my sister's nylon string, but not really doing anything serious. I was just kind of messing around. And like I say, on my 16th birthday, my dad bought me my first electric guitar. And I just... It was so strong. Like, the feeling of it. Anyway... this is 2002, as like I say, and I just started out playing Green Day, Offspring, some punk songs like the Sex Pistols, Undertones, some Elvis Costello, and that's what I was playing. I just bar chords because that's what I could do at that point in time. I could kind of get through stuff like I remember learning "Basket Case" by Green Day, the front to the end of the song, and just feeling absolutely like this is what I'm supposed to be doing, because at that point, people, I didn't really know what I was doing, because obviously I'd come out of school, I had no qualifications, I had no prospects, I was basically ruined. In my opinion, I was like, I've got nothing to do. I don't know what to do. And again, I didn't really want to even be alive. So when the guitar came along, it gave me that purpose, and I was like, I can do this. And I was just filled with this kind of like I can do this. This is me. This is what what I'm supposed to be doing. It was so strong, and that's never gone away. Anyway, like I say, I was playing Green Day, Offspring songs, and just messing around, basically, just trying to just learn and be good. I just wanted to get better at the guitar. And literally just because I loved it. It wasn't kind of like, because I wanted to be world famous or anything like that. I just did it because I loved it. Anyway, the year of 2002 saw the Red Hot Chili Peppers release their song "By the Way" and this video. And I remember being around at somebody's house in the summer, either June, July, August. I don't know exactly when, but it was 2002, and they had Kerrang television on. Kerrang TV, and there was usual things on at that period of time, and I just remember being sat there and that video popped up, "By the Way," and it hit me like a ton of bricks, and I don't know why. To this day it's still a mystery to me, but it was different to Green Day, it was different to the Offspring, it was different to the Sex Pistols and all these other bands I was listening to. And it got me. It really got me. And it was making me feel something that I didn't even understand at the time. And I was like, I don't know why, but I really liked that song. Anyway, it played out. And I remember it came up at the end, "By the Way," by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. So I made a mental note of the song. And then proceeded to hear it in other places, mainly on Kerrang TV. And then I found out it was in the charts. So every Sunday evening, after we'd had Sunday tea, my mum would do the ironing for the week ahead. My sister was still at school, and whatnot. Anyway, I just remember my mum. Yeah, she would always do the ironing and listen to the top 20 on Radio 1. And sorry, it's getting me all emotional. So I remember thinking, I knew By the Way was in the charts, so I was like, right, I'm going to tape that. So I've got it, because I didn't know, I didn't have any money or anything like that at the time, so I didn't know really they had an album out. I didn't really know anything. I didn't really know what was going on. I didn't even know what was going on myself mostly. So anyway, I waited for By the Way to come on the radio and press record and play and tape it off the radio, and proceeded to listen to that over and over again. Just obsessed with it. I remember trying to learn it on guitar, which didn't go very well, people too, because again, it was a mystery. I didn't understand how it was being played. It wasn't until later on discovered that one. Anyway, just became obsessed with that one song. Around the same time of discovering By the Way and listening to it constantly, my brother was going through the Radio Times one day, and he found that the Chili Peppers had done a Top of the Pops special. Now, Top of the Pops, normally you have loads of different acts on it, but Top of the Pops special means it was just one act doing their songs for half an hour in a half an hour program. And Johnny saw that it was just Chili Peppers, Red Hot Chili Peppers special, and I remember he came upstairs and he told me, he says, oh, that band you like, the Chili Peppers, they're doing Red Hot Chili Peppers, they're doing a Top of the Pops special. It's on at 6 o'clock. We should give it a watch. And I'm like, oh yeah, definitely. And I don't know why, but I decided I wanted to video the program. So got my little VHS ready, put it in, get it ready. 6 o'clock rolls around, and press play and push record, and I taped it. And I think they started that show with "Give It Away," which I thought was really cool. And I saw the 55 Strat, and I was like, that's a really nice guitar. I love the guitar sound. And it's so cool. It's this and the other. And John's guitar solo, I was like, what the hell is that? I didn't know what guitar solos were at this point in time. I was playing punk music. You don't really do guitar solos like that in punk music. So I was like, what is that? Anyway, second song in was By the Way, I'm pretty sure. And I was just like, there it is. I've seen it live. I've seen them play it live. You didn't really see how they played it, but I was just like, oh, I love it. I absolutely love this. And I was just drawn to John. Didn't know who he was. Didn't know his name. Didn't know anything. You couldn't just nip onto Google at that point and look him up. And I was just like, oh my God, that's so cool. That is so cool. And then it wasn't until I saw this video. It was this song here, this very footage of Under the Bridge, where my entire world shifted. It was really cool seeing him do By the Way, Give It Away, Can't Stop, Don't Forget Me, Californication. But Under the Bridge, something happened, and it was so strong. I was just dumbfounded. I was just like, that is amazing. I want to do that. I want to play like that. And it was the 62 Strat as well. That was the first time I saw the 62 Strat, and I was like, that guitar looks amazing. And that was where the obsession with 62 Strats came from. I was like, I've got to get one of those. Later on, when I found out how much they were, I was like, it's never going to happen. But lo and behold, it did. And, the life's crazy. But that version of Under the Bridge, I was just like, oh my God, that is mind-blowing to me. I was just obsessed with it. And I was so happy I recorded it. Anyway, show ended. Immediately watched it again. And I was just watching Under the Bridge. And I think I must have watched Under the Bridge a very unhealthy amount of times, YouTube. And again, I was trying to figure it out. I was trying to figure out how to play it, because you got some good shots of how John played the song, and it was everything about that performance. The tone, the guitar, the technique, everything. Everything, was just like, oh my God, the Marshalls, I was just like, oh, this is so good, this is so good. And again, there it was. And I still didn't know really who he was. I didn't, because I seem to remember on the Top of Pops 2 special, it showed you who wrote the songs. So you had, it was like A. Kiedis, Flea, J. Frusciante, and C. Smith. But I was like, who is he? Which one of them is he? I didn't know. Anyway, I don't know how well, I do know, and I'm going to talk about that in a sec. But I don't know if this is 100%. But anyway, obsessed with that video. Still have that VHS video as well, PG. It's got big marker letters on it. Red Hot Chili Peppers Live on the label. I just scrolled it on. And I remember on VHS videos, you had this little plastic tab, which when it was there, you could tape and tape and tape over whatever you had on that tape. If you broke that plastic tab off, it made the video you couldn't tape over it, and I immediately broke that off. Because I remember having back in the day, if you wanted to tape something over something and somebody had broken off, you had to put a bit of tape over that hole in the VHS so it'd actually tape. Anyone remember doing that? Anyway, so that started it, and I was just obsessed with that, that Chili Peppers thing, and that video, Anyway, let's scroll forward to 2003. June 2003, Guitarist magazine released this here. Now, this unfortunately isn't the original copy that I got. That one has sadly been lost to time, PeopleTube, and that's kind of upsetting to me because I really wish I still had it. But I never thought I'd get another copy of it. But this is a Red Hot Chili Peppers kind of like John Frusciante special, if you will, interview on the By the Way era of John. Learn his licks, see his gear, get inside his head. And my brother found this magazine in town. He was in town with some friends. I was at home playing guitar. And he saw John, Chili Peppers. And he goes, oh, Dave might like that because, he likes the Chili Peppers. So he bought me this magazine. And I just literally been playing guitar over a year when this came out. So this is June 2003. And I started playing in May 2002. And my brother got me this. And he came back and I was in my bedroom playing guitar. And he goes, oh, this is that guy you like from the Chili Peppers. I thought you might like the magazine. I was like, oh my God. And then I knew his name. John Frusciante. There we go. I didn't know how to say it though, I don't think. But I was like, John Frusciante, Chili Peppers. Oh my God, I know who he is. And I was immediately like, right, where's the article? And here it was. And I just remember I went through this time and time and time again. And to make it even better, there was an interview with Dave Lee on John's guitars. And there it is. I found it. I did, like we say, when I saw the Top Box special, I didn't know it was a 62 Strat until I saw this picture. And it says, this battered and beaten 1962 Fender Strat is John's favourite guitar, and that was it. The obsession with 62 Strats began. And I knew who he was. And I started reading that article, and I was like, this guy thinks like I do. And he sees things in the way I kind of see things. And I felt, for the first time in my musical life, like a connection and like a kinship, if you will, to another musician, because I didn't really get that with Green Day or The Offspring or the Sex Pistols. I love their music, but I didn't feel connected to them like I did John. And that connection to John was there from the get-go, even before I knew his name. Just seeing him play Under a Bridge was enough to make me feel connected, and I just fell in love with that, and it just felt right, And in this magazine, they had a kind of like they used to call it a style file, where basically they would kind of they would make little kind of passages up in the style of. And I remember I learned that, and it came with a CD as well. Unfortunately, I don't have the CD with this, but it came with a CD. I remember learning that, and it gave me an insight into how John played, because I was still kind of struggling, didn't really understand how to play like him. But I wanted to know. And so every little bit of information I could get, because again, pre-YouTube, we didn't even have a computer in the house that could connect to the internet. Well, you could do dial-up, but it basically was pointless and didn't work. It wasn't until I think it was 2004, 2005, we finally got a computer that could connect to the internet properly, and even then it was dodgy. but it was pre-YouTube. You couldn't just kind of go onto YouTube and type in live footage of Chili Peppers. So that was the next step, and I got obsessed with that Strat. I was like, oh my god, I need to get one of those. And me and my brother did actually buy a Squier 3-tone Sunburst Strat, and that actually became my main guitar because of John. There are pictures which sadly I don't have of me using that guitar at my first load of gigs, because I wanted to be like John. I just wanted to I wanted to be, that's pre that magazine as well. I just wanted to be like him. I loved the way that guitar looked, the way he played. I loved his sound as well. Even before I had any concept of tone, I just loved that sound he had, especially on the Under the Bridge performance that popped. I was just like, that is insane to me. And from that point on, it's kind of like, it just kept escalating. I remember my brother bought the By the Way CD shortly after that, and he started getting into Flea really heavily. And I got the tab book for By the Way, and I learned every song front to back. I learned from By the Way to Venice Queen. And I was just obsessed. And then I got Californication. I borrowed the Californication tab book because I couldn't afford to buy it. And then just tried to get as much as I could, from this. And it just kept going and going and going. And then I remember hearing John's Shadows Collide with People for the first time and just be like, oh my god, this is amazing. And it just went from there. And it's never really stopped. I've always, he holds such a special place to me. And again, like I always say, when I've got no inspiration, John will give me it. It's such a strong... It's such a strong feeling. It really is. And it never diminishes, with time. If I go back and watch, Off the Map DVD or Slane Castle, or go through this magazine, or play Under the Bridge, or By the Way, or whatever, that has never diminished. In recent years, I haven't particularly liked where John's gone. With the electronic stuff, it doesn't really do anything for me. But that's okay. You know what I mean? That's okay. You don't have to like everything your heroes put out. You know what I mean? You don't have to like it. You're allowed to. If it doesn't affect you in the way their music has and in the past, then you don't want to try and kid yourself into kind of liking it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. It's as simple as that, and that's okay. But that was it. And again, I just wanted to absorb everything I could of him. And then when YouTube came around, and I found that I could look up all this footage that people had put up, and I massive John Frusciante bender. You know what I mean? And it still goes on now, Poochie. I still do that now. I will find myself just on YouTube scrolling through live footage after live footage of John playing. Especially in my favourite era, the 1999 period. That is my favourite era of John. And any new footage I can find of that era, I just binge watch like a bloody drug addict. It's I'm like, oh, I need it. It's like a fix. And a lot of people have said over years, don't you think it's unhealthy? No, I don't. If you do, that's fine, but I don't. Because it inspires me to come up with all sorts of different things on the guitar. And it inspires me to pick it up. More so than any of my other heroes. More so than Jimi Hendrix, Peter Green, Rory Gallagher, Mike McCready, Paul Kossoff. All my guitar heroes. John is always going to be number one. And like I say, in 2017, I did an album dedicated to him as a thank you. For all the inspiration and motivation he's giving me over the years. I just wanted to... I felt like I wanted to give something back. And I've done a couple of albums dedicated to him. They're on my Bandcamp, and in the style of, because the trio is not John Frusciante inspired really. I mean, there are elements, but not really. It's more rocky, and certain other things I've done aren't really John Frusciante inspired, but he inspired me to do that. And through learning to play like him, I've discovered certain things in different styles, because it was like, John would be like, oh, well, I really liked Steve Vai. I'm like, well, who's Steve Vai? Let's go and find who Steve Vai is. Or I really like, Robert Fripp. Who's Robert Fripp? I need to find this guy. And And all these players, it opened that door to me to find all these other players, and then their influence comes in. But like I say, it's all because of John, really. And again, I released that album in 2017, which somehow got to him in 2019, which blew my mind. Thanks, Jonah. Again, people ask me all the time, oh, did he ever message you back about the album? I'm like, no, he didn't. He was never going to. That CD probably became like a coaster at the Johnny Ramone tribute concert or something. I don't know what happened to it. I highly doubt he's ever listened to it. Anyway, be that for what it may, it doesn't matter. I've got that picture of him holding it, and that happened. You know what I mean? And that's, to me, mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. That is more than I ever expected. I never expect to meet John. I never expect him to talk to me or know who I am. He doesn't know who I am. And that's the way it is. And, but that's how I kind of... That's the story, really. And again, it's still as strong now as it was then. When I listen to the songs that he did, either his solo stuff or some of the Chili Peppers stuff, that really get to me. It just inspires me, and that cannot be wrong. You know what I mean? It really gets me, and I'm so grateful to him. It's a weird concept to be grateful to somebody you've never met, you don't know, and you will never meet. It's a strange concept that people like him and Jimi Hendrix can have such an effect on you, yet you don't know them, and you'll never know them. You'll never meet them. They're a ghost, really, in your life. It's really strange. I mean, maybe the ghost isn't in the right term, but it's really strange. People who achieve it's a really strange concept, but I love it. And again, I'm so grateful to him. And again, I spoke about this in the past in certain other videos of like how I got into him. But again, I'm so happy to have this magazine back in my life and stuff like that. And I'm just so grateful for everything I've got from him. You know what I mean? It really is. He really is my hero, and it's important. He really is an important figure in my life. Yeah, it really is. Anyway, be that for what it may, people tube. That's about as concise as I can get. I'm sure some of this might be a bit askew. Because, to be honest with you, after 2003, when I found out it's John Frusciante, and then I got the Off the Map DVD, which I was obsessed with. I've actually played the Off the Map DVD that much. I've worn it out. It doesn't even work anymore. And then, obviously, the Slaying Castle DVD came out, and again, pretty much worn that out. My copy doesn't really work with that. And then Stadium Arcadium. And then I went to see them. I got to see them at Hyde Park in 2004, which was like a religious experience for me. Seeing John live was just like... I can't describe it in words. I really can't. Words would fail. And then seeing him in 2006 as well, words would fail. There is something about that. It was something about that. It was very, very heavy, but in a really good way. It really was mind-blowing. And like I say, that was the reason why I wanted to do that album for him. It was just to say thank you. I mean, I never expected that album to get to him. It wasn't meant to get to him, you know what I mean? Because I was like, it's a pipe dream. It's never going to happen. But so many people bought that, and it became such a thing that like I'm so proud of that. And then when you see John holding it, there aren't words. There are not words. I still remember that morning, because I remember my phone going off constantly throughout the night, to the point I had to turn it off. Because it was driving me insane, because I was asleep, and my phone just kept going ding, 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 and then it would vibrate, and I was like, I got so angry and half asleep, instead of just turning it off, like, on total silent, I just turned it off. Turned it on in the morning, and all these notifications came blasting through on my phone saying, Dave, look at this. And I just remember, like, being half asleep. I must have stood there in that state for about 5 minutes. No word of a lie, I must have stood there for about 5 minutes just in shock. And I just remember like waking Joe up and saying, Joe, what? Look. And her response was, what the? Which was my response as well. But I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe this. You know what I mean? And again, thanks Jonah. And again, thanks Mark as well for this. But that was one of the proudest moments of my musical life. It got to him. And it got to him through fans of not just me, John. You know what I mean? Like, Jonah knew how much it would mean to me to see him with it. Because it's funny, if you watch the footage of a Geronimo thing, when Jonah gives John the CD, John just puts it in his back pocket straight away. Doesn't even look at it, just puts it in his back pocket. But Jonah obviously said, no, can I get a picture of you with that album? And John gets it back out and he holds it, and he's holding a D chord as well. And he knew what that would mean to me. And then John was like, who is it? And he goes, oh, it's this guy from England. He does YouTube videos on how to play like you. And he did this album dedicated to you. And I think Jonah said something like, John's response was, why? Talking about disconnected from the world. Anyway, but there you go, Poochoo. That's how I discovered John. And that's why he's my biggest hero and always will be my biggest hero. And like I say, he just gives me that inspiration when I have none. When I feel like dead-ended in either life or guitar or whatever, John brings me back up. He gives me that reason to be, you know. And it all started with me just randomly earshotting By the Way, and then that Top of the Pops 2 special, an Under the Bridge performance on that, and then this magazine. This magazine is so important to me. It really is. You know, it's kind of like those kind of things. By the Way, Top Pops 2 special with Under the Bridge, this magazine, and then Off the Map DVD probably. They're like key points in my life, like such important points in my life, musically and outside of music as well. It just gave me that reason. It gave me that confidence to go, like, you know, this is what I should be doing, you know. And you know, John, you'll never see this, but thank you so much, you know, and thank you, people of the Tube, for giving me the ability to do this for my living right now, you know, because of you. It's not me, this is you, because you watch, you support me, you help me, you know. You're there watching this video now. If no one watches, you know, I don't have this life, I don't have this career. It's all because of you, and I am forever grateful to all of you. And you know, I try and be the best I can be for you, you know, much in the same way John makes me feel like I've got to push myself musically. You know, you do as well. You know, you're all very inspirational to me as well, because it's like, you know, I can't hold anything back from you. I've got to give it all, so to say. Anyway, before I get too soppy, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it's somewhat interesting in, you know, in whatever it'll be. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this vid, and I'll see you again very soon for another video. If you'd like to support this channel, please consider becoming a patron at Patreon. And if you'd like to go and listen to my album I did for John, please go to the description box. There's a link there to my Bandcamp where you'll find not only my album for John, but for all the other albums I've done as well. Of a trio album and stuff, which isn't anything like John Frusciante. But again, that's the thing, you know. It really is. Like, John gave me that confidence to pursue different styles, you know, and know that that's always kind of like there, whatnot. Anyway, thank you so much indeed for watching PewDiePie. I'm going to play some music for you now. And I'll see you again very soon for another one. Have a great morning, afternoon, good evening. Goodbye now. Thank you very much indeed for watching. And I hope this video was somewhat interesting. I've got that horrible usual thing of the fear that this video was garbage, but, you know, hopefully there's something in there. Anyway, thank you very much indeed. Goodbye now. See you again.